Welcome traders to Admiral Markets. We're going to take a look in this video at the market quietness of last week and try to identify when and where we could expect a bit more impulsiveness again on the majors, of course, like the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yen, and odd USD. We'll also take a look at the webinars, the remaining webinars of April and May, upcoming May, of course. First of all, though, the disclaimer explaining that this material is intended for a global audience. Please take it into account that it may not be suitable for everyone. To get the corresponding info on charting conditions and other details, take a look at admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity. Also, trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that, and this webinar is for educational purposes only. Please pause the video to read the entire disclaimer, and we do thank you for your attention. Before we start looking at the charts and taking a look at what could be expected this week, we have, of course, these webinars. Again, the same lineup as always. Good lineup here with the Forex recap of the weekly euro dollar, pound dollar, and odd USD with Tarantula. Then we have the live trading labs on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, moving averages, trend lines, and oscillators this week. Expert advice and intro to expert advisors part 1 on Wednesday. And of course, our pro learning labs always on Thursdays. This week, entries and scale-ins. With that said, it's time for the charts. First things first, let's take a look at the euro dollar. And of course, we can see between the light blue lines the choppiness of last week and the week before, in fact, just going sideways at the moment, the euro dollar. Now, that sideways zone, of course, is going to have a breakout sooner or later. Is it going to be this week? We'll find out soon enough. But in the meantime, when this does break, there's some potential, obviously, to the upside and to the downside. Now, to the downside, maybe not so much because we have a 61.8 fib, a 78.6 fib that are potential support levels. To the upside, we could have a bit more space, but we are running into a dark red trend line as resistance. Above that, we can see a bit more space up to the minus 272 at 139.70, for instance, and maybe an extension up to 140, the psychological round number. On the daily perspective, we can see that the 140 here being the resistance, that we have the green line coming as support, some resistance as well, though, pretty close by here. So we're stuck in that particular formation, but the upside slant on the daily is still visible. The only question is, when will we get the continuation? In the meantime, if price were able to break out of this uptrend channel, of course, things start to change and the perspective starts to be more bearish. For the moment, though, as long as price stays above green, this green trend line, it's bullish. Although, obviously, if you look at the hourly, a lot of ups and downs. We have to wait for a signal that indicates that this consolidation is finished. The pound dollar is a bit different. It has a bit more upside slant. It's a bit bullish, more bullish in that regard. However, it is too struggling at a certain level right here, around 168 in fact, with a lot of wicks here, right here, and a lot of struggle, about 3-7 days sideways already, and it just cannot break this top here where I have the blue circle, and is really struggling right there. So one could see it as a potential ascending wedge. One could also see it as a struggle, and a break of that blue support line here could see a fall to the next support line, and a break of that could be, of course, a potential retracement, bigger retracement or reversal even. For the moment, though, bullish structure, just waiting for the signal that we can break through that resistance. If not, there could be some reversal potential to the downside, maybe back to 167, 166. We'll have to keep an eye on how this forms and continues from this lower time frame perspective. You can see just going sideways. We're going to have to get a signal from the market whether upside continuation or downside retracement will happen this week. The odd USD currency pair is looking very bullish in this channel. In fact, this blue channel to the upside, very nice uptrend in that regard. The 4-hour, though, was nicely moving to the downside last week, so there was a bit of a contradictory here, a bit of a mixed view. 4-hour chart down, daily up. However, if we look at the space, or a pace I should say, of the odd USD 4-hour to the downside, it's very slowish compared to the upside, therefore looking more corrective. And I would say if we break this trend line, for instance, this week, and maybe this resistance as we are already doing, there could be some potential upside up to that trend line, and maybe even more if we break that trend line on this odd USD. We are also pretty close by to this support level here, so those are things to reckon with. The bouncing area here for upside is definitely potential on the odd USD, I would say, but we have to wait for some confirmation. The confirmation would be roughly this trend line here for that upside. Whereas the AUD USD almost looks the most interesting from the pairs we've looked at. The dollar yen is probably the least interesting because it's just stuck in months and months of sideways move. This is 3 months of sideways chop, in fact. Therefore, not looking too interesting to me. We need a break of the purple or a break of this darker red line here, support line, for an indication of upside, or maybe a bigger retracement. Magenta 2, by the way. And then we have an idea where this dollar yen could be heading to in the medium to long term direction. Otherwise, we're still stuck in this consolidation. Well, that wraps up the short weekly forecast of this week. And my opinion, of course, take always into account that this is just an opinion and this is for educational purposes only. Thanks for your attention, and wish you all a great trading week. Cheers.